Okay, level check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Looks like it's getting through everywhere. Okay, start the other platforms. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. In less than a minute, I'll be with you, and we will start the streaming weather show. Got a lot to talk about tonight. All right. Level check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I see we're live on Facebook. We should be live on Roku TV, on Apple TV, on Amazon Fire, on Samsung TV, and all the other platforms, including our weather app, including not only our weather app, but our news app and our website, along with YouTube. And hi, everybody. Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer at 7:15, and this is the First Alert streaming weather show. There you see the high thin cloud cover that is off to the east. Off to the west, moving into the tri-state. That high thin cloud cover doesn't contribute a lot to the weather other than keeping the temperature up a little bit at night. 75 degrees right now at the International Airport. And again, we are talking about some shower activity beginning to develop tomorrow, more on Friday, into the early morning hours of Saturday. But I think by dawn, the way things are looking now, Saturday should be pretty much rain-free, and then a good-looking weekend ahead for the tri-state. And again, we are live also on YouTube, and this is the 20th anniversary of the very first YouTube video. So happy birthday to, if that's what you call it, to YouTube. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of other cameras here. This is a time-lapse of the last several hours. Now, we just got this working today. Brad Mousehart, who has recently joined our staff, decided that it would be a good idea if we were able to do some time-lapsing of our cameras. And unfortunately, the stream from our camera at Newport on the Levee and the others were not the same format that was required by our weather system to use as a time-lapse. And then our engineer, Taylor Sunderhouse, figured out how to fix that. And in a matter of an hour or so from when we started talking about it to when Taylor got involved, it was ready to go. And now that's all the frames we have so far, but what it'll do, it'll keep a 24-hour time lapse going, and we don't have a full 24 hours yet, but you can see how the cloud cover continues to stream to the north and east. Okay, here's our view from our tower cam looking down over downtown Cincinnati, and you can see the high thin clouds. They look a little bit different when you're looking away from the sun, but they're the same thing. And you can see the activity moving north and eastward. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen, I'll tell you what, I'll just zoom out here. You can see the brighter white cloud covers, the thicker cloud cover. Notice there's a lot of shower activity there. That is the warm, moist air flowing north off the Gulf of Mexico, continuing to head on into the tri-state. And that, what's going to happen here is the system here is going to come this way. It's going to guide this warm, moist air up into the tri-state, and that'll result in some showers, not only from any time from late morning into the evening hours of tomorrow, and then any time during the day on Friday. And we're looking at it ending long before dawn on Saturday. So if you're going to FC Cincinnati's match down at TQL Stadium, or whatever outdoor plans you have Saturday and Sunday, things are looking pretty good, and we'll talk about it in detail coming up. So there you see that warm, moist air moving northward from the Gulf. All right, if you match that with what we saw, let's go back one more time. Okay, this is what the model, or this is what the radar and all that is showing. Okay, and as soon as it comes to the last frame, we'll switch over to the model data, and you can see it's pretty much the same. Now, there's a little bit more of a sprinkle activity in Kentucky than we're seeing, but overall, it's doing a really, really good job. So let's put this into motion and see what happens here. And you can see that we have to get into the afternoon and evening hours of tomorrow to see some shower activity. So you see that shower activity right here moving northward, northeastward actually, And so that will bring us some showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. And as I said, there might be a shower or two pop up in the area as early as late morning, but most of it holds off until the heat of the day. It dies out as the night cools off. By the time we get back into Friday, we've got some shower activity coming back to the area, more Friday night into Saturday morning. This is 12:20 a.m. And then take a look. It's by 3:30 a.m. There are only a few sprinkles left, and it's done by the time we get to sunrise, and then we begin to clear out. And the late afternoon and evening look very, very nice during the day on Saturday. Now, the rainfall totals, this is what the model we've been using shows. If you remember, on Monday, this particular model showed an inch or more over our southeastern corner. Yesterday, it moved it a little bit further to the west, and now it's from Cincinnati southward into Owenton, Georgetown included, so that area in dark green basically where there will be an inch or more of rainfall. And again, that's the total from Thursday into Saturday early morning when it ends. And so that is really not that much over that stretch of time. And so we're not talking about flooding rains. And right now we're not talking about any kind of severe weather coming up as we head into this coming weekend. Okay, so what we've got then coming our way is we've got a little bit of a storm system that may bring some severe weather to the eastern United States toward the end of the month, the beginning of May. We talked about that yesterday, and I'll show you the latest update on it coming up. Okay. Temperatures today, this is our 7 p.m. temperatures at local weather stations. You can see it's 79 still in Russia. Look at Middletown. The report there from that personal weather station, 81 degrees. Everybody else is in the 70s, and so nice 70s. If this was the middle of summer, you'd have high humidity, and it would just be yuck. But with low humidity, it feels pretty good. We are going to have a touch of humidity coming in during the weekend, though. So it will feel a bit like we're heading into summer. All right, let's go ahead, take a look at the airport temperatures. Still 80 in Shelbyville, everybody else in the 70s around the tri-state. If you're heading down to TQL Stadium for FC Cincinnati's match with Sporting Kansas City on Saturday at 2:30 p.m., temperatures in the 60s. It looks like it's going to be great weather to go down and cheer on FC Cincinnati. Sunset today is at 8:23, so we've got about an hour and 2 minutes before the sun's down. Temperatures should drop off to 70 by 9 p.m., down to 64 by 11 p.m., and then overnight settling down only into the middle and upper 50s. So we're not going to have much of a chilly morning. As a matter of fact, kind of cool. 50s may be enough if you have to wait at a bus stop or you're outside for a little while. Maybe enough for a jacket. For some people, it's not, but warms up very nicely. Will be around 80 for the high temperature. Now, let's go over and take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is saying. These are the new maps that just came in this afternoon. Up through the 29th through the 3rd of May, warmer than normal in the Cincinnati area. Now, they're going for a period of time where the temperatures dip on the average to about normal. I'll show you what that looks like on the graph in our forecast coming up, because we kind of agree with this. Okay, and then the model, the forecast for weeks 3 to 4 shows that from the 6th to the 19th, we're going to stay a little bit warmer than normal. This is the graphic that only gets updated once a week, and that's on Friday, and so we'll see what the Friday event looks like. All right, precipitation a little bit more than normal through the 3rd. Near normal to maybe a little bit less than normal as we head into the 7th. Now, when you see the temperature pattern drop off to near normal and you see precipitation drop off to near normal or maybe a little drier than normal, that's telling you at this time of year that we've got some Canadian air coming our way. Okay, two big things about that. The leading edge of that Canadian air will be a cold front, and yesterday when I was talking about the possibility near the end of the month, the beginning of May, a severe weather event, not necessarily for Cincinnati, but in the overall region of the eastern United States, that was based on cool Canadian air coming our way. The other thing we've been talking about for weeks now has been the rule of thumb of farmers. Now, both hands are on camera. The rule of thumb of farmers is don't plant tender plants until after Mother's Day. And when you have drier air coming in out of Canada, it's going to be cooler air. And it's looking like we might see a few pockets of frost before Mother's Day. Right now, it's still a little bit too early to tell. That may not occur, but two things that we've been talking about in the long term that we can't be specific about yet, that chance of some severe storms late April into early May, and then after the severe storms or that front comes through that may cause the severe storms, pushes east, it's going to drag some cooler air in from Canada, and that could lead to a little bit of frost. So even though it's really tempting to go out there and plant those tender plants right now, it's probably a good idea not to. All right, just because I've seen this happen too much. Okay, and then as we head toward from the 6th to the 19th, precipitation goes back up to a little bit above normal. Okay, so this is the map that we talked about yesterday. Okay, I'm not going to animate it this time. But here is that low pressure system you see right here, that dark green spot. Started up here in the Gulf of Alaska, came down like this along the west coast, and then kind of turned heading eastward. The models say it's going to follow this dark blue arrow, okay? So that will have with it a cold front. In addition, it's going to work with the energy of the subtropical jet, and as they head off to the north and east, there's an area in here where we could see some severe storms, okay? So, and the cool front that this has will then, once this whole thing gets off to the northeast, it's going to drag some cooler air in behind it. Remember, a low pressure system circulates like this. So in advance of the low pressure system, we've got southerly winds, warm and moist air. As the low moves off to the west, behind the low, as it circulates like this, we've got cold air being drawn in behind it. And so the first one, where the air's out of the south, may cause some severe storms late in the month, the beginning of May. Again, it's looking more like the 28th or the 29th, but we have to see how the timing works out here because that can change. Ahead of the storm, warm, moist air and the chance of severe weather. Behind the storm, the chance of frost as some cold air moves in. Now, right now, the models are not saying it's going to dip to frosty levels, but we see enough of an indication in the trend. For example, one of the models, the morning of the 4th of May, has Lexington, Kentucky down to 39. Okay, if Lexington makes it down to 39, that means some of the valleys around northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, will be cold enough for some frost. And so the models are beginning to indicate that, hey, this might be one of those, early in the month of May frost. And so again, don't plant those plants yet. You might be very sorely disappointed. Okay, so let's take a look at, now I talked about this yesterday and I said, oh, the Storm Prediction Center isn't talking about it yet. They are now, okay? They have modified, not modified, but they've come up with their new forecast. This is for day 7. Okay, so we'll look at that right now. Okay, so here's what the Storm Prediction Center says. From 8 a.m. on the 29th, that's a Tuesday, to 8 a.m. Wednesday on the 30th, they have a slight risk of severe weather off to our north and west. Notice it doesn't quite make it into the Fox 19 Now viewing area. So Decatur, Fayette, Union, and Franklin counties are not impacted by this yet, but this is just the beginning. And if you remember yesterday, I said, doesn't mean the severe weather is going to impact us. It may not. It's just too early to tell. But now the Storm Prediction Center is beginning to talk about a slight risk over a large swath from Indiana into Illinois and southwestward, and that may eventually include the Fox 19 Now viewing area. So we're still watching. End of the month of April, beginning of May, possibility of some severe weather moving through the area. After that storm, with the potential for severe weather, moves to the east. It's going to drag some chillier air in from Canada, and we've got the potential for a little bit of frost. Okay. Whew, man, I've been talking a lot, and it's only 7:27. All right, 7-day forecast looks like this. 56 and 80 for Thursday. So tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms pop up mainly in the afternoon and evening. We don't expect any severe storms. 61 and 75 on Friday. Some rain and storms are likely. They could pop up anytime during the day on Friday. By Saturday, the morning showers and we say morning starts at midnight, by the way. I think by sunrise, those showers are gone already. And Saturday, we have nice weather with clearing skies. Sunday looks great. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, notice this weather's getting warmer. We've got scattered showers and thunderstorms, and each day, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And the Reds, by the way, are back in town then. Okay, so then I left the watching for storms on there from yesterday's forecast. So that's the 1st and 2nd. It could very well occur on the 29th and 30th of April. So we're just going to have to see how everything works out, how the system develops and evolves, and we'll get a better handle on the timing. So we're watching the end of the month, the beginning of the May, for the possibility of some severe weather. Now notice the morning of the 5th on this forecast, okay? The morning of the 5th has the low down to 43. This is my particular forecast. 43 for Monday morning on the 5th, 46 on Tuesday the 6th, okay? Some models have the colder air in here by that Sunday morning. That Sunday, the 4th, is 1 week before Mother's Day. So we are talking about some chilly morning temperatures, the possibility of a little bit of frost if everything works out just right. And again, this is something that we couldn't even think of doing when I first started doing TV weather back in '77. Actually, I didn't start on the air till '78, but I started working behind the scenes in '77. You couldn't even think about this. We're talking already 10 days out when we started talking about this, the possibility of a severe weather pattern followed by the possibility of some colder air and frost, which is pretty typical at this time of the year, but we've got models that are really sophisticated nowadays. They're not always right. They don't always this far out give you all the details you need, but they certainly do give us some evidence that we may have to deal with some severe weather followed by some frosty weather as we head into the month of May. Okay, so that is beyond the 7-day. Let's go and take a look at the 14-day highs and lows. So here are the highs, here are the lows, and we add the normals on, and you can see that the high temperatures do dip below normal. The low temperatures dip below normal. There's Sunday the 4th with 43. We've got 43, 46, and 47. And if the models, the trend in the models is they're a little bit cooler, a little bit cooler, a little bit cooler, and if that trend continues, we could very well, 4th, 5th, or 6th, see a little bit of frost around the tri-state, and we'll just have to let you know more as it comes our way. And then once we get to Mother's Day, you're free to, you're free to plant your tender plants now if you want to take the risk, but you're much safer to plant them after Mother's Day, based on tradition. Okay, so first based on farmers' tradition, what the farmers tell us, and they know. And based on what we have model data. So we have historical evidence and we have model evidence now that tells us that it's probably not a good idea to do any early planting. Okay, let me go ahead and take a look at Facebook. I feel like I've been talking for an hour. I know it's not that long. All right. So let's see. Starting off with Susan Wally. Hi, Steve. It's been a wonderful day. Okay, she had asked Brad about summer and if thought we'd have another drought this year. And I saw Brad putting together a graphic which talked about the summer. That would be like June, July, and August. And I haven't talked to him about it yet. Historically, it's unusual to have 2 summers in a row that are droughty like this, except if you go back to the Dust Bowl. I think everything is telling us it's going to be hot. It'll be a hot summer. Whether or not it's going to be droughty, I just don't know. I'll tell you what, Brad and I will discuss this a little bit tomorrow, and we'll put our heads together and see what we can come up with. So, okay. Okay, Garnet Rothwell says, good evening. What a beautiful day. Hopes everybody had a chance to get out, even if it was just for a short time. Thanks, Garnet. And thanks for watching. All right, next one, Carlotta Daniel. She said, thank you so much for what you do. Well, you're welcome. That's my job. I love to talk about the weather. Since I've had such a long career, I've got a number of funny stories I can tell if I need to fill some time. But I hope the most important thing is we keep you informed, Carlotta. Lynn Taylor. Stephen Bryce Campbell, please no tornadoes on Wednesday. Yeah, next Wednesday? Probably not. I don't think so. It doesn't look like that now. Although, we're getting closer to that with the end of the month. I can't rule it out. And as I've said before many times, that the more information we get, especially with Doppler radar and the great information it gives us that we had no idea about before Doppler radar, the more we learn that even a line of thunderstorms can have a quick leading edge spin up or a mini tornado. At this point, it's just too early to make any statement about that. But anytime we have a line of thunderstorms or an energetic system like this, it could very well end up with a few tornadoes around the area. So too early to tell. And Susan Wally said, thank you. All right, those are all the comments. Let me go back to the 7-day forecast and we'll close it out for the day. All right, I've got to re-aim that camera. It just isn't the same as it was yesterday. All right, let's go to the 7-day forecast. As soon as it comes up, I'll put it up full screen for you. All right, here we go. 7-day forecast looks like this. Tonight's low, 56. There will be some rural areas that are around 50. 80 the high tomorrow. We'll start off with some sunshine, end up with scattered thunderstorms in the area. We don't expect anything severe. I mean, we might have a few heavy downpours, some lightning, and a few wind gusts, but it doesn't look like a severe situation. Rain and storms are likely anytime during the day on Friday. Everything comes to an end by dawn Saturday. Saturday and Sunday look great then. It was good for outdoor activities. I know I've still got a lot of cleanup to do from this winter. We were so busy weather-wise here at work that I didn't have a lot of time to keep up with it, so now I've got a lot of catching up to do. FC Cincinnati plays Saturday. Should be great weather for that. And unfortunately, when the Reds come back into town, Monday, looks like we go into a more rainy pattern once again. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, each day with some scattered showers and thunderstorms, and that's ahead of that system that is going to push the moisture northward and bring us that chance of severe weather. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at beyond the 7-day forecast here. And what you'll see here is that we've got high temperatures trailing off into the upper 60s, which is below normal by the last 4 days of this forecast. We're still watching for storms into the second day of the month. It may end up being late April. It could be delayed into the first couple days of the month, but we're watching for them. And then we're talking about dry weather for the 4th, 5th, and 6th, back to some showery weather by the 7th. And if you want the 14-day temperature graph, shows you where we are compared to normal. There you see the highs and lows. We're above normal as that storm system comes our way, and then once the storm system comes through, it's going to drag cooler air in here, and we're below normal by the time we get to the 4th of the month of May. All right, well, that's it. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow with more. We'll have even more of an update on that potential for severe weather the last couple days of the month. Until tomorrow, thank you.